All right, everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video with FatPhil, and today we're going to be covering the Stellar Signal Data Countdown Calendar that's in the store right now. This is a 3,000 crystal pack. We're going to break down kind of, is this pack worth it? What are the costs? How to analyze stuff like this? How do you even afford stuff? How can you, if you, in the future, if you don't have the crystals for this right now, how can you afford it? What are the things you want to do? I think stuff like this is really important to understand both the shipment value and then really like what's the quote unquote, I call it the fat fill value. What's the real value? Because shipment value is kind of like, going to a hotel and they have like the beer and the wine, the soda, the candy down in the lobby that's like ridiculously overpriced. You're not paying $6 for that, beer because the beer is worth $6. You're paying for the fact that you don't have to leave the hotel. You're paying like a luxury tax. And with signal data, that's a big deal. Signal data is something that is very much kind of gated behind a luxury tax. It's not something that is readily available, right? You've got the nodes. Sometimes you've got these daily deals. It's like crystals, the node, or events. There's not a lot of ways to obtain signal data with other currencies. There's actually no other currency that you can buy signal data with except maybe the GL tokens, which again, it's ridiculously overpriced here. So you get the idea that it's something that is very, very challenging to get. And so we want to make sure that you have the best information possible when trying to analyze packs like this. So again, make sure we approach this with the idea that we're used to paying a luxury tax with signal data. So let's get in. We're going to break this down. First, let's give a shout out to the channel members for their continued support. If you guys are ever interested, y'all know where that link is. It's down below, along with a link to our Discord. Really appreciate these guys just sticking with me for when I'm on vacation, when I'm not posting, or when I'm live streaming all the time, or when I'm not live streaming. You guys just make being a content creator so much fun, and I really appreciate everything you guys do for this channel. So again, just massive shout, for being a part of the Fat Phil family. It means the world to me. I'm honored and blessed to be in the position that I am. So thank you guys again. Let's get in here. Let's break this pack down. All right, so with this Stellar Signal Data Countdown Calendar, we're actually going to move over to one of my Google spreadsheets. And again, I will make sure to link this Google spreadsheet down below. So this spreadsheet is something I started where it's like shard drop rates. And again, it's got hard nodes, Cantina nodes, and it's all about, all right, how long will it take you to do X, right? How many days will it take you to do a hard node? How many days will it take you to do a Cantina node? And it breaks out the refreshes and your attempts. Like, it does a lot of stuff in here. And for signal data, I created a tab where it says, all right, how many days will it take you to get 100 signal data? So this entire tab here is telling you, all right, based on getting drop rates of 10 signal data, if you just do 120, drops per 120, if you get 10 white signal data every single day, every single time you spend 120 energy, it's going to take you 10 days if you just don't do any refreshes. And then it gets down to 2.29 if you're doing 3 refreshes plus collecting your bonus. The reason we use 120 energy for this is because that's the Cantina 100 crystal refresh, right? That 120, when you go to the game, again, just kind of making sure you guys understand the concept there, right? If you go back into the game here, and if I was to go to Cantina and I want to buy more energy, now I'm at 200 crystals, but you get 120 energy. So that's why we use the 120, is because that's the refresh. That's what they base their refreshes off of. So with this said, I have these estimates here highlighted of what I, over the years, have identified as the drop rate of blue, green, and white. You could go up, you could go down. Listen, it's the Fat Phil estimate. Call it what it is. There's no data to back this up. I've never really tracked it. It's just what I go based off of feel, right? So when you use those numbers and you start kind of analyzing what it is, you're going to pay in shipments 15 for white, 20 for green, and 30 for blue. So then I break out, all right, if you spend 120 energy, this is how much you need to get to break even to shipments. And then I break down my cost based on my assumed drop rate. White signal data is worth 9, green is 12.5, and blue is 25. And this just shows you, all right, when you go to the Cantina, this is how many crystals you're saving comparative to buying via shipment prices. So this is just, again, informational, kind of proving the point that, yes, you should farm in the Cantina. So this then feeds into the Stellar Signal Data Countdown Calendar, where when we analyze this, we're using the information from up above to justify whether or not to purchase the pack. So this pack costs 3,000 crystals with a shipment value of 4,500, right? Your shipment value would be 4,500. That's taking each of these pieces of, the signal data, the 100 fragmented, 75 incomplete, and 50 flawed. You're going to take each of those, multiply it by the shipment pieces up here, and you get, 100, 75, and 50, and you get to 4,500, right? 4,500 shipment costs. But when you use my fat fill costs, when you use the assumed costs up here of 9, 12.5, and 25, this pack's value is actually at like 3,097 crystals. So this pack is basically the equivalent of farming it in Cantina every single day. So you're not really, if you think about it, if you had to choose between farming in Cantina or buying this pack, you could go one way or the other. Right? It's that close. It's within 100, crystals of each other. But you're already doing your Cantina. Like, if I told you to stop doing Cantina refreshes, you'd tell me I'm mad that, no, it's way better to farm in the Cantina than it is to buy via shipments. So what this pack is telling you is the same thing. This pack, in my opinion, is really well worth it because you're going in and doing your Cantina refreshes without batting an eye. You don't think twice about going in and hitting the Cantina. So this pack, in my opinion, is extremely worth it if you have the crystals to spend on it, because realistically, you're already spending those every single day, right? Like, if you think about this pack, just for the sake of argument, it's a 14-day calendar. So you're going to take this 2,900, you divide that by 14, you're spending like 200 crystals a day. So it's, it is a pretty nice value pack. I really do like this pack. I think there's a lot of value here. Now, on the how to afford this front, now that we've kind of given you this idea, remember, going to the whole signal data is normally gated by this luxury tax. There's not really a luxury tax here. This is a very, very valuable pack to me. Even if this was in the range of like, 3,500 crystals, 3,700 crystals, where it's still cheaper than shipments, that's a solid purchase. That could be a solid purchase. I could get behind that, because the next place that you go when you try to evaluate signal data would be shipments, because you have to multiply your drops here by 2, right? So this goes from 6 to, 13. This goes up to 10. This goes up to, almost, to like 6.67 repeating, right? It gets a lot more challenging to make back your crystals when you're spending double the amount. Makes it a lot harder to, make your money back when you're doubling the cost of the crystals there. So that's where shipments normally come into play. And, again, with this pack being where it is, makes a lot of sense. So how do you afford this pack? And maybe let me back up a sec here. I keep talking, I'm getting ahead of myself. I did want to share Egnard's on his Substack post here, which he did a Substack post. You guys can check it out. And one of the things that he brings down here is he breaks out, all right, here's the quantity and here's the store value. So again, everything is valued at store value, which is a 50% increase on your value based on the store, which again, my analysis ended up at the same thing, which right? But what he says here is at the bottom, the valuation on this pack is basically equal to the first level of refreshes on Cantina Energy. And that's exactly what my math is showing as well. So both he and I are coming to the same conclusion that if if you're looking at this and you're like, is it worth it? Well, you find it worth it to do your first level of refreshes in Cantina without fail. So this pack, by that same logic, should be something that you purchase without fail, right? So, that's kind of where we're heading here. And so we're going to talk about how do you afford a pack like this. Now, what I do is I have this other spreadsheet, again, linked below, for crystal spending. And I break out your crystals in the game into 3 categories. And this is not all encompassing. There's other crystals, but this is kind of a pretty good rough idea. They fit into 3 categories of daily, monthly, and bonus. And to kind of define each one, your daily income is made up of your daily objectives, galactic war rewards, your Grand Arena payout, and your Fleet Arena payout, right? The stuff that you can count on every single day. And again, this is based off of Kyber 2 at level 85. So, take that with a grain of salt. But this is my, daily. Now, I'm in Kyber 1 now, so this is really 260. But, whatever. It doesn't matter. Keep it at the 240 just to sandbag a bit. But it doesn't, at the end of the day, changes whatever you want. That's your daily income. Your monthly income is next. And this is dependent on TB chosen and your GAC bracket. So Rise of the Empire, GAC season rewards, that's your monthly income. So for me, that breaks down to the day of 135 extra crystals. Again, I'm okay. Monthly income is something that, yes, while you can count on it, it kind of comes in chunks. So you've got to kind of recognize, yes, while you are getting 4,000 extra crystals over the month, it's not 135 per day. It's, all right, you're going to get 1,000 crystals every 2 weeks from your TB if you get the same stars that I do. And, your GAC season rewards for Kyber 2 are, another 2,000 crystals. So they're in chunks, but I'm okay with you relying on it because you can pretty well guess what you're going to get here. Maybe your season rewards might tweak between, what level you're in, but like TB, you know pretty well what crystals you're going to get. And again, you can make this however you need to if you wanted to figure it out. It's pretty simple. Bonus crystals is kind of anything else you're getting. Your GAC wins, your GAC losses, your weekly payouts from Grand Arena, the daily bonus chest you get for completing all your objectives, any of those special events. Think about like the Galactic Bounties, the Assault Battle, Peridia and Battle for Naboo or Duel of the Fates, those kind of things. This special events, it's just, all right, there's an extra, and I threw 700 there. Because I get those, I can put it in there. You could take it out. I don't, you could keep this at 100 for all I care. It doesn't matter, right? You basically just figure out where are your bonus, those are your bonus crystals. So in summary, then what I break out is, all right, your daily crystal spend of 750, overall on a regular basis between my daily and monthly income, my net spend is, plus 115. When I'm doing Conquest, it's a minus 35 because I'm going to do 150 crystals worth of refreshes. So I'm losing 35 crystals a day when I do Conquest. But over the course of a month, I'm 10,000 to the good, right? Because we start getting some bonus crystals every single month. So we're 10,000 to the good, and then with Conquest about 8,000, and then again break it out for the year. So you want to use your bonus crystals for packs like this. This is what you use bonus crystals on. You use your monthly and daily income to do all of your refreshes, right? Your farming, your refreshes, all come from your daily and monthly crystals, the stuff that you can count on that is going to happen. And your bonus crystals, you kind of do as you want, but don't rely on them for regular farming or refreshes because they are variable. Think about your GAC wins and losses. This could vary greatly depending on how many battles you win or lose. Same thing with your weekly payouts. That's going to vary. Your daily bonus chest, sometimes you get a lot, sometimes you don't. So we kind of throw it out there. And, special events. Again, it's stuff that, yes, it's there. You can kind of count on it, but you don't know when it's going to happen. Like imagine that your entire strategy is dependent on you winning, a GAC every other time. So like win one, lose one, win one, lose one, win one, lose one. What if you go for 3 losses in a row and now you're out of crystals because you're used to getting the win crystals? So that's why I count them in bonus, because you don't want to be relying on them regularly. So that's how you're going to use, and again, that explanation kind of leads back to here. This is how you afford it with those bonus crystals, with those extra things that accumulate in your account. This is what you spend it on, and these are the packs that are worthwhile. I hope we see more of these. I really like this pack because I think it's a good introduction for free-to-play. If you are a free-to-play and you're like, oh, well, what's the purpose? What's the benefit of buying a pack like this? Well, you'll see it. You'll see that by spending 3,000 crystals and then doing everything else you normally do, that your signal data income for 14 days is going to be a lot higher. So, again, this is a big thumbs up from Fat Phil. This is a big, if you've got the bonus crystals, must purchase, because at the end of the day, it's the equivalent of doing your Cantina refreshes that you already do. It's almost like a double drop, right? Think of it like a double drop. This is like double drops for a little bit. Absolutely worth your time. So, please, I guess maybe not double drops is the right word, but it's like getting extra 100 crystal refreshes. That's maybe a better way to say it. That imagine you could do extra 100 crystal refreshes in the Cantina. That's what this is. That's a better way to say it. So, let me know your thoughts down below. Like, subscribe, comment. I love you all. May the force be with you, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers, my friends.